I am 78 years old, and I need to tell you something that I have never said out loud, something that I have hidden from my family for 55 years, something that will probably upset people. I never wanted children, not when my first son was born, not when my daughter came 3 years later, not at any point in my parenting journey. I never wanted to be a father. But I had children anyway, because that is what people did in my generation. That is what society expected. You got married, you had children, you built a family. That was the script, and I followed it without question. At 78, looking back at 55 years of parenting, I can tell you with absolute certainty, it was the biggest mistake of my life. Not because my children are bad people. They are successful, they are decent human beings, they are loved, but they should never have existed, and I should never have been their father, because I did not want to be. That decision to have children, made out of obligation rather than desire, cost me everything, my freedom, my money, my life, and I want to tell you why before I run out of time. Because there are people watching this right now who are facing the same pressure I faced. Let me go back to 1969. I was 23 years old. I had just married my wife, Rebecca. We were happy. We wanted to travel. We wanted to build a business together. We wanted freedom. But within 3 months of getting married, the pressure started. My mother, Rebecca's mother, the priest at church, my boss at work, everyone, everywhere was asking the same question, when are you having children? I remember thinking, I am not ready, I do not want this, but I did not say that out loud, because men my age did not say things like that. Men who did not want children were considered selfish or broken, so I stayed quiet and I listened to the pressure, and at 25, my first son was born. I remember holding him in the hospital. Everyone was congratulating me, telling me how blessed I was, and I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. I looked at this small human and I felt no connection, no joy. What I felt was terror, what I felt was trapped, but I could not say that. So I smiled and played the role of a happy new father while inside I was screaming. 3 years later, my daughter was born. Same congratulations, same internal terror. I realized then that I had made a decision I could not undo. I had created human beings that I did not want, and I was responsible for them for the rest of my life. Here is what nobody tells you about parenting. It is not a choice, it is a sentence. From the moment my son was born, my life was no longer mine. Every decision I made had to account for him. Every penny I earned had to go toward his care. I was driving 2 soccer games on weekends when I wanted to be home reading. My own dreams sat at home, abandoned, and the cost. My God, the cost was staggering. By the time my son was 10, I had spent more than $50,000 on him. In 1979, that was my dream business I wanted to start. That was my financial freedom, but instead it all went to raising a human I did not want. My daughter had health problems, more doctors, more money, more stress. Rebecca wanted a big family, but I could not survive the family we already had. Resentment started building between us. Then they became teenagers, and the real nightmare began. My son's behavioral problems, my daughter's severe depression. I remember sitting in a psychiatric hospital with her after a crisis, thinking, I did not want any of this, I did not choose this, and now I am responsible for saving this person's life. That is not love, that is obligation and burden and resentment masquerading as family. Let me tell you exactly what parenting cost me financially, because this is the part people do not talk about. By the time they turned 18, between their educations, healthcare, therapy, and daily needs, I had spent nearly $300,000. If I had not had children, if I had remained childless, that money would have grown in investments to approximately $2 million by the time I was 78, I would be a millionaire, I would have financial freedom, I would have retired at 55, I would have traveled the world. Instead, I am 78, I have minimal retirement savings, I am dependent on Social Security, and I am terrified of becoming a burden on my children. The children I never wanted cost me my entire future, but the financial cost is not even the worst part. The emotional cost was devastating. My marriage suffered. Rebecca wanted the children. I resented them. We argued constantly. Our romantic partnership died, and we became business partners managing a household. I spent 40 years with a woman I loved, watching our relationship die because we had children we did not want to have. My own mental health deteriorated. I had a heart attack at 55 because of the stress. I even attempted suicide when I was 45. I was overwhelmed. I was trapped. I took pills, but Rebecca found me. I survived. I never told my children that they were the reason I wanted to die. And then there is the loss of self. When you have children, your own identity disappears. You become dad. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But those versions of myself are gone, buried under the identity of a parent. If I could go back to 1969, knowing what I know now, I would have said no. I would have endured the judgment. I would have let people think I was selfish, because I would have been free. I would have built my business, traveled the world, and stayed lovers with my wife. Most importantly, I would not have raised children in a household where the father was present but emotionally absent. My children deserved a father who wanted to be a father. They deserved parents who chose them out of desire, not obligation. Now, at 78, my relationship with them is complicated. My son is successful, but we are not close. He has told me he always felt like I did not love him, and he was right. I could not. My daughter has spent her adult life trying to earn my love, and I have given her the bare minimum because that is all I had to give. We exchange holiday cards, we text, but we do not have a real relationship. I have infected my family with my own regret. At 78, I know things I did not know at 23. I know that having children is a choice, not something you do because society says you should. I know that you can have a fuller, freer life without them, and I know that the pressure to have children is based on the lie that they will make you happy. Most people have children because of pressure. Most people regret it, at least sometimes. And nobody admits it because it makes you seem like a monster. But I am finally saying it out loud. I never wanted children. I am 78 years old, and I need to say this directly to anyone watching who is facing the same pressure I faced. You do not owe society a new generation. You do not have to fulfill someone else's dream. If you do not want children, say it out loud. Do not let anyone pressure you into one of the most consequential decisions of your life. Do not spend 55 years being a parent you do not want to be. Your life is yours, and it is too short to waste it on obligations that do not serve you. If this resonated with you, leave a comment. Tell me if you regret becoming a parent, or if you have chosen not to have children despite the pressure. You are not alone. There are millions of people who feel this way, and we need to start talking about it. Subscribe for more honest conversations about the choices that define our lives. I am tired now, and I am finally at peace with who I chose not to become.